Thank you so much. Congratulations on another epic BlackStar Festival. Yeah. It is such an honor to be here for so many reasons. My name is Alexis Pauline Gumbs. I am the co-founder with Shango Dare of Black Feminist Film School. We're so proud to be collaborating with BlackStar, and you all, if you don't have on your seat a little QR code, there's one up here that you can use. We're here in full force. Our Black Feminist Film School family is here. Tamika Galanis, Courtney Reed Eaton, and we are inspired by the legacy that these great filmmakers have created. So we want you to stay in touch with us. I'm gonna get the housekeeping out of the way because I know once they start talking, I'm gonna travel to another dimension, come back, and all of that. So Black Feminist Film School, we're growing. A week from today, we're having a virtual workshop if you wanna come understand what we mean by filmmaking as spiritual practice. And we're also hiring. So you use the same QR code if you are an experienced event planner, producer, or operations genius. We want to work with you. And I'm also the author of the very soon forthcoming biography, Survival is a Promise, The Eternal Life of Audre Lorde. Michelle and Ada are the only people who have it. And I wanted you both to have these first copies because, one, I'm so grateful that you allowed me to interview you in the process of researching this book, but also because I see you as the first biographers of Audre Lorde, insisting on writing through light and through image her story so that we could be with her, hear her, witness her across generations. And so it's a huge honor. I feel like you're far away. I want to just like snuggle on the couch in between the two of you, but also COVID protocols. And speaking of care, how are y'all doing?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah? Why don't we take 3 breaths? See if you can get 15% more comfortable. Maybe that means putting something down that you're holding. Maybe it means just a little squirm or a stretch. And I'm gonna take 3 breaths. I'm just gonna mark my inhale and my exhale. You can breathe with me, you can breathe at your own pace. Your breath is sacred, I'm so glad you're here. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. One more time, inhaling. Maybe a really loud exhale. Yes, 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 yes. Here we are. And we have just 1 hour together. But I'm also going to invite you into a practice that we call dedication. It's an opportunity to dedicate your participation here to someone who's not physically here with you, but who is part of why you decided to show up for this particular moment. Maybe somebody who's been on your mind and heart as you've been experiencing everything at BlackStar. And I'm going to model, and then we're going to take just 1 minute. You're going to turn to a neighbor and tell them who you're dedicating to. We get to be really specific. Our dedication can be to someone who's living now, someone who lived before, someone older than us, someone younger than us, someone of any species, but try to call out one being of the many beings that are here with you. I'm dedicating my participation to Shea Youngblood, the great writer, a mentor of mine since I was 14, and I just, in the middle of this festival, traveled down to Atlanta to be at her memorial and came back because I met her at the same time that I learned who Audre Lorde was, in the same place that I learned who Audre Lorde was, at Karis Books and More in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm realizing that Shay, as the first out Black lesbian writer who I actually knew, who took me under her wing, she and Audre had been collaborating on transforming my life ever since. So I'm really grateful, and I'm dedicating my participation to her. So now turn to a neighbor. Y'all are neighbors. Let your neighbor know who you're dedicating to, and come back.
Is this on?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so thank your neighbor.
Putting the book up, that was perfect. Thank you.
And so now
You go.
we're gonna bring our attention back forward. We're gonna get to hear some stories and insights from the great Michelle Parkerson and Ada Gay Griffin. Among many other victories, they are the filmmakers who collaborated to create A Litany for Survival, film that was just screened here at BlackStar in its 30th anniversary. Also both creators of incredible imaginative films for decades, community builders, leaders, mentors, educators, inspirations for all of us, right? Make some noise if you're inspired by these two filmmakers. And so we're gonna have a conversation that builds on the Q&A they did with the film about an hour ago and share some more insights. Do you all want to share first who you dedicated your participation to?
You want me to go first? I changed it. I was gonna say Joan Gibbs, who is brilliant, revolutionary Black lesbian feminist based in New York. Brilliant, passed away recently. But I gotta say the gap-toothed girlfriends, okay, the homegirls, and I can't even mention all their names, but if you know, you know. Were you published in Homegirls? Okay. That was a group of radical Black lesbians who just got together and acted fierce in every sense of the word. It's performance artists, as poets, as writers, as acting up ladies. Anyway, that's who inspired me to be brave. First started inspiring me to see how you can be yourself. And yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Two people I'd like to mention in terms of the New York Circle of Women at that time is Maua Flowers,
Yes.
who was with Salsa Soul Sisters,
Salsa Soul Sisters.
who was brave, and all of those things that you on fire, creative, and about building a community.
That's right.
And helping others share that into larger rings of community, who passed away several years ago. And I would also give, salams to Jimmy Lyons, who was a senior. I was a junior at Temple University. We were both at the Department of Radio, TV, and Film then. And he was the first one to show me that I might have possibilities. Not that I might, you will, you can do film. And he, was my creative brother and, Temple activist at the time. And The reason I'm sitting here is because of Jimmy Lyons, way back in the day in 1973.
Thank you both for sharing. Yeah. Okay, so one of the themes here at BlackStar this year, but also for many years, has been really thinking about care, an ethic of care, and how to practice that as filmmakers for ourselves and with everybody that we work with. And so because A Litany for Survival has really been a model for that, especially for the wide range of filmmakers who were a part of making it with you, I'll especially underline Crystal A. Griffith, who wrote a whole article about being a camera operator on so many different sets, and it was not until working with Michelle and Ada on A Litany for Survival that she understood what a Black feminist, ethical, communal approach to making film could be. And she wrote a great article about it. Get at Black Feminist Film School for the PDF if you want to read it. But so I asked you both to think about stories from the making of A Litany for Survival that for you embody that ethic of care. Because you were caring for yourselves, you were caring for a team, you were caring for Audre as she was facing medical complications and ultimately the end of her life with cancer. And so if there are memories that come up for you that embody what care felt like, what it took to care, what care looked like in your process, I would love to start there.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, all right. I'm just going to talk about having fun. And that's important. That's very important. I mean, okay, yeah, we're serious. We're professionals. We're artists. We Black women, all this. But come on, let's crack ourselves up. And I will tell you, some people who cracked me up was Crystal Griffith and Larry Banks, who was a cinematographer. That we had like a dozen cinematographers because we couldn't pay anybody. We couldn't pay people. We had to just we had to shoot when we could shoot, when Audre was well and when the time was right, when we got another grant in the door, et cetera, et cetera. But when we went to Germany, okay, what? Oh, we went to Berlin. Okay, so we fly into Berlin, and we're in Berlin, and the Guten Tag, and Bitteschön, and all this stuff. I didn't even know about that word, Bitteschön. I thought they were calling us dirty names. I said, okay, they're all racist. They're all calling us bitches here. But it took me like 3 days in, Michelle. And Larry and Crystal would be like 3. And then, like, the next day, they'd be, like, on 7. I'm like, what are they doing? I'm like, what are y'all doing? And actually, I didn't want to, I wanted to act like I kind of knew. I mean, I didn't know what they were doing. So finally, I had the nerve to ask them, well, what are you counting? They're like, we're counting Black people. So they had this ongoing joke of counting Black people in Berlin. And I thought that was what, I love that. That is the kind of energy that the people who worked on the film brought. Joy. Remember, the joy of doing something productive that is you doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. So, let's not take ourselves that seriously. And, in many ways, I just happen to be in a position to be able to ask Audre Lorde whether we could do a film about her life. And she happened to be in a position where she should say yes, and so a lot of it is about that, daring to say, can we, let's do it. That's a big part of it. Daring to join the struggle. So that's just one story I wanted to tell.
I love that story. Thank you so much.
I'm going to pick it up too with the joy part and the fun.
Yeah, the fun and the
Okay,
joy.
another cinematographer, Arthur Jaffa, who many of you know as the cinematographer for Daughters of the Dust. AJ, who's now an installation artist, multidisciplinary phenomenon, and a longtime friend of Greg Tate. He was shooting some of the Caribbean footage that you saw in Litany, the Beehive, Bee Colony footage, which was itself hilarious. Okay. Try to direct under a hood. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. But AJ was shooting the sequence where Audrey was coming out of her oncologist's office, and she was getting some heavy news about how long, and she wanted to take a trip to South Africa. And so we were outside because we couldn't be in the meeting with her doctor, so we were waiting outside on the street. AJ was, ready to go. The crew was ready to go. John Bentham was there, and AJ loved blue corn tortillas chips. Okay, so he had to have those. Okay, he also hated In Vogue, which was a hot popular team at the time, singing group of women. But AJ, like Greg Tate, had an Afrofuturist, very skewed, wonderfully skewed take on blackness. So he created his own language. And so we began to absorb this language. So we would look at each other and say, Ote Blute, and you would say, Monsijira. And we would know, or at least pretend that we knew what we were saying. Da? Okay, so it was moments like this that kept it light, but kept us ready. That's the other thing in shooting Litany. We had to have teams that could relax when Audrey had to take her time or whatever, and then be ready to shoot as soon as she came out that doctor's door. So those were things that we did as pastimes to keep it moving, but keep it joyful and keep us, moving forward, moving onward.
I love that. The joy, the laughter, the finding our people and counting them, the creating a language, and staying ready. That's one of the things I love about your process of listening for the moment when it's actually time to engage again. So there's so many things we want to talk about, but I know in our conversation we were also thinking about how important it is that not only solidarity, with BlackStar, solidarity is not a theme, it's an ongoing practice of how BlackStar is created and constructed. And we had a conversation of talking about, like, what would Audrey say today? And as I was watching the film this time, I was thinking so much about how Audrey was fighting to end apartheid in solidarity with sisters in South Africa, including Ellen Kuzwayo, who's featured in the film. And that so many of the things that she said about what solidarity means, about how we each have to use our power, apply to absolutely the genocide in Gaza, but also our solidarity transnationally with multiple genocides happening at this time. And so I would love it if you all could share what you learned about solidarity. Solidarity, I know, is also an underpinning ethic of Third World Newsreel already, and part of the impetus and approach that you took to making this film. But if you could talk about what you learned about solidarity from this process or from working with Audrey, I know we need it quite urgently right now.
Yeah, Third World Newsreel is basically the executive producer of the film. That is the entity that existed, that was in place, that enabled us to do this film. And it's an organization that still exists, as I mentioned in the Q&A after the screening. Third World Newsreel was founded by most principally two women of color. One, Susan Robeson, who was the granddaughter of Paul Robeson. And if you don't know who Paul Robeson is, you need to find out, because he was a giant. And he's one of those people, brilliant black people whose contributions to liberation on a global scale has been minimized. Ain't gonna be no Prager University documentaries about Paul Robeson, I would think. And Christine Choi, a Pan-Asian American. These two women, ostensibly with others, formed this organization and were committed to a global, articulation of people with certain types of realities and conditions in common, most notably colonialism. Like neo-colonialism, colonialism, racism, and their allies, those who struggle in solidarity with us, okay? So, and this was in the 70s, like early 70s. So the things that we're talking about now in a global scale, as African people, as Americans, as free, quote unquote, free thinking people, some of the conversations that we are having now were very prominent then, and some of the struggles that were happening there have been resolved, and some of them haven't, including the struggle of South Africans' freedom. But okay, I just went off on a tangent. Now I can't pull myself back.
Solidarity. You are already talking about it, yeah. You're on it.
Oh, okay, right, communal. So our colleagues were Asian. They were African American. And knowing Asian Americans, especially second generation, third generation Asian Americans, you learn a lot about oppression and colonialism from a global perspective. Knowing Latinos, Jews, just outside of my little Midwestern black experience, meeting people from around the world who have similar conditions, Armenians, people who were involved in this film and have supported this film, either as crew or in some other supportive way. Under that definition of third world, you had an automatic affinity with our subject. So, that I could go on and on about third world and why I love that term to this day. Yeah, that's what bonded us, I think, was just, we got Audre, and Audre was like somebody we'd been waiting for. The world was waiting for Audre, and Audre was right there in front of us. And we loved it.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Another thing about Third World Newsreel is that they had one of the most prolific archives of the March on Washington in 1963. So a lot of times, particularly in PBS documentaries, but others that have sequences around the civil rights movement or what have you, it is gleaned from Third World Newsreel's archival materials.
Yeah, the Black Panther stuff.
Exactly. Black Panther, Young Lords, if any of you remember the youth revolutionaries in New York at that time. They have original footage that you cannot get anywhere else from the mid-20th century if you're doing research or illustrations of the path of revolutionary evolution, of movements, of synergies between now and then in terms of the work that's still ahead of us.
Thank you for that. I have no idea what time it is, but I know Nyla's going to tell me.
Do people, can we ask? Oh, no, they can't ask. This is just us.
Nyla's going to tell me when it's time for the Q&A. No, you listen. Directors be directing. I love that about you. But so before the Q&A, I wanted to see if you could each share with us what lesson from Audre Lorde is most showing up for you in your life today.
One of Audre's favorite and most remembered tropes is if you met her, she would say, "Are you doing your work?" And in my third age here at 71, that's what I wake up hearing. That's why I'm here at 71, is trying to do the work as it presents it. I know I'll be removed from the building when I've done my work. So that's one of the things I think about.
Wow. Well said. Thank you for that. You working it. You hear that, right? Yes. Ada, would you like to share a lesson from Audre Lorde that's with you today?
I don't know. I think I agree with that. I think that she was a worker, and that what she defined as work is not what you get paid to do. It's what you were put here to do, what you were meant to do, which only you can do.
That's right.
Right, exactly.
Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing?
That's right.
And that way, she was everything. She was a mother. She was definitely a warrior. And was mad when you wouldn't let her be that. You know what I mean? Like you try to help her up the stairs or something. Okay, good luck. But yeah, I would say those are the things. She was very much, as Jewel says in the film, mother. She was like a mother.
I think another thing that I still keep front and center is Audre's understanding of how difference among peoples and struggles is also power. When people focus their individual struggles in some communal efforts, we all need the differences to get to the power and recreate and take down what needs to be moved out of the way of liberation, freedom, and humanist interactions with each other.
Right. I would also say that you have to be replaceable. You have to make yourself replaceable. Yeah. Or it's important. You could be the head of, what's it, HNI, whatever. You could be you know what I'm saying. You want to be in charge, you want to be the leader, you want to be, okay. That's not, who's coming after you? Who you lifting up? Who you bringing up behind you? You know darn well none of us would be here if our people weren't always doing that for the past 500 years plus.
That's right.
And that's why we're here, because people chose to live and help us live. So. That's part of what our job is, our work is. Making sure there's somebody here to carry on.
That's right.
And I think also was her example of activism. It wasn't just marching, writing, best-selling books about topics and social justice, but who are you serving in your community, and who are you bringing along with you, and how can they pass it on? Activism is about service no matter what your work is, your talent, whatever. Everyone can be an activist within your own sphere of activity.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we're going to go to Q&A in a moment, but we wanted to share a statement. JT Takagi, who did the incredible sound, if you all were in the film, you understand the layering of sound that is part of this documentary, and who is also now director of Third World Newsreel, unfortunately was supposed to be part of this panel and wasn't able to join us today, but did send some words. And I think that connected to what, Ada, you said earlier on about taking the risk of really living your purpose and doing what you're here to do, but also the risk of collaborating over the long term, like the 8 years where you all stayed steadfast in making this film, A Litany for Survival. We wanted to have JT's insight, even though hopefully maybe JT is going to watch the recording, but wasn't able to be here with us today.
Sorry, I left my phone in my bag.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I'm like looking for it.
We're pulling it
I
up.
feel like I'm under pressure now.
This is a moment for you all to crystallize what your questions are. And maybe think about whether the questions that you want to ask our esteemed panelists are connected to the person that you dedicated to. And if you would do the honor of, if you share a question, also sharing who you're dedicating to in a moment.
And while Ada's doing that beneficent search of that email from JT, I just want to pull two quotes from Audre that your questions prompted us to think about as we were pulling this panel together. And Audre's words on self-care, quote, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare," which is from A Burst of Light. And also Audre's really well-known, one of her best-known quotes, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid."
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. Thus saith the Lord. Yes. Yes. I can also summarize if that's helpful, Ada. What do you think?
I'm gonna find it.
You're going to find it.
I don't know if you have my backpack, whoever has that backpack, I can. Sorry.
It's all good. We're adaptable. Like you had to be adaptable. We're adapting, right?
The BlackStar logo right now.
Yes.
And we'll be back on the screen momentarily. Thank you, Barbie.
Take a picture of the beautiful audience. So maybe we can actually have one question while we find the statement, if somebody's ready with their question. There are microphones coming to you. Oh, there's a person right here, yes.
Hi, thank you for doing this. This was a beautiful work. I dedicated this to my daughter, who's actually named after Audre Lorde's book, Zami. And I'm just curious, this film, what was your thought or your intention when filming and gathering this footage? What did you hope to do with it? What did you hope to, what message did you hope to put out into the world? And yeah.
What message?
Or as you were
Yes.
collecting the footage, like what was your thoughts around it? What did you hope to do with it?
We were at a point where we realized that we could not explain who Audre was other than, making her writing available to the world. But that was something that we did not have control over. So had we been archaeologists, or wait, had we been architects, we would have probably built something, some monument. But we're filmmakers, so that's what we could do to make sure that people remembered that this woman was here. She was born in 1930s. And so the question of, like, that Barbara Smith raised at the women's conference that Audre was attending, that can you be a black lesbian and live to tell the story? Poet, can you be a black lesbian writer and live to tell the story? That's what we wanted to say. Yes, you can, because here's someone who did that. And rather than having to explain it ourselves, we could use something that we had control over to help. And I think we have helped. I think we helped expose more people to Audre's brilliance. And I meet young people. I meet middle school kids who know who Audre Lorde is. Mm-hmm. And that's why we did it. That's what we wanted to do. That's what Audre wanted to do. And she wanted these babies to have the same kind of power that we felt from her.
Yes.
and to be able to reach it and use it.
Oh, yeah. Michelle, would you like to share some of JT's words?
Yes, and sorry about the snag, and thank you, Ada, for trying to pull it up. Thank you for finding it, okay? Between the three of us, we are fierce.
That's right.
For TWN, these are JT's words in her email when she knew she couldn't come and she just wanted to share this. In terms of Third World Newsreel, a now 56-year-old organization, it nurtures and facilitates media by and about diverse communities, meaning BIPOC and LGBTQ plus communities, through educational, distribution, exhibition, production, training, and preservation. It has always had a hard time as a people of color organization, but was and remains an organization that takes chances on BIPOC films and training emerging BIPOC filmmakers. At the time of the Litany production, all 8 years, it was difficult for the organization as the producer, and it meant taking a calculated risk on Ada and Michelle being able to finish the film, that the film would be good, and that there were audiences out there who wanted to see it. Needless to say, in retrospect, one could say it should now be obvious. But even now, TWN remains heartened by the continual screenings of the film and by the response of both new viewers to the film and returning fans of the film. We often participate in community screenings of the film in partnership with local organizations as well as major events such as BlackStar Film Festival. We are especially pleased to work with BlackStar, whose mission aligns with ours and is so clearly the right space to be honoring Audre Lorde on what would have been her 90th birthday. And a shout out to Maori, Carmel Holmes, and all the BlackStar fans and volunteers. In terms of what the film and Audre means to TWN, one main thing is the example of her life, how everything we do, our art, and how we live are both statements of politics and a commitment to the world we want to build. TWN grew from the idea that activist film can help drive social change and a belief that this is embedded in everything we do. The other part of this is that Audre embodies all of us, our lives, culture, and spirit as artists of color and our determination to survive and create despite all the challenges that try to stop us. But we are unstoppable.
Yes.
Here, JT Takagi.
Yes. Thank you,
JT Takagi, shout out.
Yes. We had to have that love come through. Thank y'all for being unstoppable with that. And we are just going to have questions until Nyla says stop, get off the stage. So raise your hand if you have a question, and our incredible person with the microphone will come to you.
Thank you so much. Hi. I'm dedicating this question to the many mothers back home in Baltimore, Mother Maria Broom, Mother Erica, Mother Joyce J. Scott, Mother Elizabeth Talford Scott, these women who are just great, phenomenal artists, and I believe they are also, world-renowned in their own right. And I was wondering if Audre Lorde ever changed her relationship with being mythologized, or with the word that she used to kind of tell her students, don't see me as beyond my human self, but did she ever change her relationship with that terminology as her legacy grew?
That's a great question.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. We weren't really listening to that. I mean, she was a good teacher. And what she was saying was, don't mythologize me. Okay, got it. But she wrote a book called Zami, a new spelling of my name. about her teenage years from being a child in a West Indian household up in Harlem. You know where Harlem is, right? Okay. Going to Catholic school, the nuns hating on her from, all the time. Growing up with her mom or dad or her sisters. And she called that book, up until like her mid-20s. That book, Zami, A New Spelling of My Name, covers that period. And she calls it a biomythography. And she calls it. Or maybe a biomythology? No, mythography, okay. So, but what I found out, just a point of reference, that she basically had the people's names in there. She just changed the name. The first letter of the name was the same as the real person's first letter. So you could kind of figure out who she was talking about by just using the first letter of the name. So I thought that was interesting. What I'm saying is that, Audre was okay, Audre, we're not gonna mythologize you, but we love you, You're our mentor, you are good, you're a good poet. You speak for us, you speak to us. You grab onto us. When you see us, you grab us and hold us in your arms, literally. So I don't know what else we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? What do you do with somebody like that?
Yeah, I have something to say about that, which is that I feel like in that moment, that classroom moment is so important, and there are other moments that speak to that. There's the moment at the I Am Your Sister conference where Audre Lorde says, they're all screaming for 1,000 people, so excited to celebrate Audre Lorde, and she says, that energy that you feel, it doesn't belong to me. It's yours, and you can do whatever you want with it.
That's true.
And so that piece about don't mythologize, because I don't think she had any problem with being seen as larger than life. She gave a speech when the Hunter Audre Lorde Women's Poetry Center was created. She was so happy for there to be spaces that would outlive her and call her name. But what she didn't want people to do was to think that the things that they learned and experienced when they were feeling free around her were only possible if she was around. That it was actually, they needed to own the power that they found, whether it was through her writing, whether it was through her teaching, whether it was through her mentorship and example, and to take responsibility for it and own it and not ask her what to do with their own power. I think that's my understanding of the don't mythologize me, because as we know, she was mythologizing herself for our benefit in so much of her work, and she loved mythology, and from a kid she loved Greek mythology, and then when she found out about like West African mythology, she just loved mythology, and so it wasn't an anti-mythological thing. It was really, don't have this story that if Audre Lorde moves to St. Croix from New York, which is what her students were dealing with, you're never going to be able to write your truth again. Great question. Do we have another question? Yes, right here. They're coming with the mic.
Hey, Stan. So basically my question was just on, when you have a subject who maybe sees themselves as, ordinary and not deserving of, that kind of treatment through film, kind of getting them comfortable with, sorry, give me a second. Being on camera and stuff like that, because I did something on my great-grandmother recently, who's a local librarian and poet here. And it was kind of a struggle to get her to be on camera, but I see her as someone who really is, deserving of that. So, I guess, just dealing with the subject who, I think you got it. Sorry.
And did she become more comfortable after a time of your filming?
It it was something on Mother's Day this year. So over like the course of the day, but like then when I would try to bring the camera back, like afterwards, it was kind of like, oh, that was a Mother's Day video thing. You know, I was trying to, you know, do a little bit more. But yes.
And so did you do more shooting after Mother's Day? Sorry to get into your business.
No, it's okay. Not yet, but I plan to. I'm also kind of trying to get all of her poetry kind of made into a book for her.
Yes.
At local Fireball Printing, if you guys ever have printing needs. But yes.
One of the things in teaching courses in production here at Temple, back in beginning of 2000 through 2010, was to urge students to put a camera around your subject for a while. I mean, the footage may not be fabulous, but they get used to what it feels like, how many people are in the room, what that means. Sometimes you gotta do 3 takes of something or ask them to come through the door and get up out of their chair, that kind of thing. So get them familiar with the feel of small production so that when you come back, the second, the third, the fourth takes or the fourth locations are different, and there's an openness there because they're not as concerned about what they don't know and control, which is this technology in front of them. The other thing is that in your generation, you have technology that's very small. And one of the things that intimidated people back in the day was larger cameras, film crews with booms, you know, production assistants scrambling under wires. And this is a more access-friendly kind of media that you're working with today. So I would think that by the time you do the next pickup with her, that it might be, you know, she might be interested, might even talk to some of the crew. But it's about relaxation and comfort with the technology so that you forget about it and you're talking to the person that's talking to you. Or if there is no interview, sometimes I put another person with that person being interviewed. So they're focusing on the dialogue and the discussion that's going on, not the technology. And you can get more shots and interactions and emotions and reactions out of the subject in that way as well.
Thank you for your answer. I just wanted to speak her, thank you. But her name's Charlotte White for my dedication, so.
Blessing Charlotte White.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you to Charlotte White.
Thank you for making the film, young brother.
Is there another question? Oh, right back here. I know this microphone person is getting their steps in. They're like boom, 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 boom.
Hello, thank you so much for the film. As a poet, I was like so excited to see it, so thank you so much again. This year has been a lot about self-preservation for me, and to answer the question of who I dedicated this to my mom, because I feel like in July, we got to the point of our mother-daughter relationship where we're like becoming friends, and it's like for real, and not like you're just checking in on me. But the word for this year really has been self-preservation, and I think about the legacy of this film and the importance of like environments where Black, feminist, and queer filmmakers are collaborating together. And so I wanted to ask you, like, as you think about the future of Black feminist film and like with new mediums, like you were saying at the end of the Q&A after the film, what does the future of Black feminist queer film look like, and how can each of us like play a role in shaping that?
Beautiful question. What do y'all see?
Okay, that's huge. Look around you. Look around you, and I won't say document it. I mean, that's what my interest is more in documentary, like chronicling, preserving, reflecting on, all those words. I think the future is, also reaching back a little bit and seeing what came before. Why is it like this? How did we get the strength? Where did we get where did all these people come from? How do they think enough alike to be in this room in front of this film right now? And so, like, I think part of it is the questions that you ask. You look around, and that's what's gonna shape the future. But we've got to do that, and we've got to do what Audre said in her not just her poems, her essays, baby.
Yeah,
And essays like Eye to Eye.
That one.
Okay, my sister, why aren't you looking at me? Why are your eyes like, going over there every time we pass? What's up with that? That's where I think once all that work starts getting done, baby. I mean, we're always going to be at the vanguard. We're always going to be, the people always going to be coming for us, right? But every time we can, like, what do they call it? Juke it, you know what I mean? And just like, wakata, you know what I mean? Hi, President. Hey, International Court of Justice, we coming for you. And when we speak, people gonna listen.
That's right.
So, that's the energy, I think, that makes me excited about where we're going from here.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
Let's go.
Anything you want to add to that question about the future, Michelle? Especially because you have been making futuristic films about Black feminism for many years.
Don't look to the story tropes that are out here. Find those unexplored voices, experiences, behaviors, visions of what future means, and go. Be fearless, be the first sometimes. Correct issues that are direly wrong and holding our own stories back and our own activism back.
Yes, thank you for that. I see another question. I see actually two more questions here. I know Nyla's going to tell me when we have to stop, right?
Won't stop. Hi, thank you so much for this conversation. The care that is at the center of your practice, your storytelling practice, is so deeply evident, and I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about, I guess, concepts of what we would call today participant care. What were the conversations that were being had in the mid-90s when this film was made, and how do you think about that? How was your approach sort of embedded in that ethic of care?
And when you say participant care, could you give us a little more detail in your...
Yeah, just the, questions around consent and questions around, the conversations you would have had with a subject, quote unquote subject in a film. Having just made my first documentary feature with, about someone else's life and someone else's story. It involves a child and, a mother. There are lots of questions and ongoing conversations we've had about care, dealing with the themes and the difficult family themes that come up. And it was a beautiful and often difficult place to be, where you're having these hard conversations about what to include, what not to include. And the fact that a participant can decide to reverse their consent at any moment, what that says about our industry and all the investments that have get made. There are just so many questions around it. So I just wondered if, like, in the 90s, when you were in the midst of, making this film, what were the conversations people were having around care, if
Are
at
you
all?
talking about the Stacey Ann
Yes, that's my
Chin?
film. Yeah.
That's your film?
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful film.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Lori Townsend.
Beautiful film, beautiful
Thank
film.
you so much.
Very sensitive, the generational, the intergenerational piece that you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what to say about her question.
Maybe one of the things is, obviously, based on what the film shows to us and what you've chosen for us to see as your film, editorially, you involve the people. You tell them to look at the footage with you. And now it's even easier because you can do it on their home computer. They don't have to meet at a screening room or your officer. So when you keep people involved in the making process, that also gives that investment, their investment, more or more of a leaning toward consent. So don't just, oh yeah, we're going to do a documentary about you, shoot it, bye. I'll see you at the, at the film festival. No, you want people to be involved in the process. Just like you are wanting to be injected into their lives or issues or abuse as children or all of these things, you have to also let your subjects or the voices or the communities around you look at your process and become involved as, part of the team that decides what the film is going to be about as well. That may mean I'm going to do a screening for you, all the footage, I can send it to you, and you get back to me by X date because we have to do a rough cut, or we have to do, a rough cut too. And once that point is, we got to run with it because the people that put the money in it or the network that is invested in it, they have deadlines. So I'm, giving you opportunity to screen it anytime you want to screen it. I remember doing Sweet Honey in the Rock. I had them over to my house at all hours of the night based on their working schedules. Sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever. They could come at any time. Somebody called me one night. Can you show me that footage of me and my sister? Fine, come on over. That kind of thing. So you want your subjects, or communities, again, it's not always a subject. Sometimes issues are involved here. And you want people to be invested in what you're doing and putting a framework around what they're doing.
Did you have that opportunity with Audre?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we wouldn't been able to do anything until she said yes. And that's what was key. She said yes. She was tentative about it initially, but, I knew Gloria, her, partner, by that point, and I think that she probably felt different ways about it at different points in time about what we were doing and how we were doing it. But we made the footage accessible to her. We threw out the so-called journalistic standards, whatever that's some, whatever that is. You know what I mean? Come on.
Dead trope.
It's dead. And, we wanted her to be involved. We wanted her ideas about the people who should be in the film. Mm-hmm. And believe me, everybody in her life, not everybody, but there were so many people in her life that said, I need to be in this film because And we try to accommodate them too, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, well, let's see. What do you want to say, It's organic. That word is overused, but we try to make it as organic. We showed the film footage to Audre. I was excited about getting it to her and getting her feedback on the footage that was shown, that was shot of other people. She didn't want other people reading her poetry.
That's right.
That was one, she was not feeling that at all. And that's one thing that I think, when I look back, the fact that we had Adria and Rich reading part of one poem still kind of haunts me a little bit. We did what we did. I mean, and it was a collaborative process. I didn't edit the film. Michelle didn't edit the film. You know what I mean? We gave the editor, the ultimate editor, we had several people who edited different versions of the film at different stages. But it's also about the style of making the film. Like, if we're shooting and the cinematographer has a say in what we should be shooting, did we get it? You know what I mean? Do you all have any questions? I mean, the sound mixer over here, what did we miss? That's how we do it. That's how we need to do it. That's how we felt that we needed to do. That's an Audre thing too. That's a feminist thing.
And Audre would communicate back. She'd send us audio files. They want audio files, they were cassettes. Wherever she was in the world, St. Croix, Germany, whatever, she would give us her opinion. We would send her a list of people we want to interview in the next couple months. She would send them back, strike them out, add names, all of that. So we tried to keep that transparency going in this collaborative process of making a documentary.
Yeah, but we're not putting anything in the film that's disrespectful. Even the hint of it, like completely disrespectful. Or it's, no, we're not trying to, we like Audre. So it's not an expose. We're talking to people who didn't know her. We're talking to people who need to know who she is, yeah? So that's we had to think about the audience as well.
And, some people said, no, I don't want to be in the movie.
Yeah,
but we want you, we want you, no, I don't want to be in the movie. So that, again, pushed in our creativity, and we got to figure out how we can tell this aspect of that life step or the, pivotal point that person played in their life in a way that made sense filmically. But I think it's all about the collaboration with your subject and not seeing them as you're the director, they're the subject. Or, this organization is this, and the sanctity, and they give you the script of what they want in a film. No, we're making the film together. This is a difference in activist filmmaking as opposed to journalism or, pre-constructed documentaries that are there because the person's a celebrity. We're kind of wrangling with a project now in which we have to work with a celebrity who has a team wrapped around her. And so that was a new aspect. I work with other celebrities, but this person is huge. And as my director, producer here, Chalet Hainsworth, thank you for coming up. As we've been learning, this is a whole nother world of, it's not just, let's do this interview over here and put her in Highline Park with nice, skyline. No, you have the stylist, you have the person that dresses that person, you have a manager, their makeup person. There's a whole lot going on. And you gotta be invested in this collaboration for it to show up on the screen, for it to be comfort with your grandmother, those kinds of things, depending on the level of person and relationship you have with that person.
Wow. So obviously we want to, and because I keep asking you all more and more questions, to sit at your feet forever and hear all the stories and learn all the things. We have come to our time. I just would like you all to join me in thanking Ada Gay Griffin and Michelle Parkerson for their generosity. Yes, you see a standing ovation.
And buy this book by Alexis Pauline Gumbs. Buy this book.
All right, much love to each of you. Continue to enjoy BlackStar.